Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here's what we have in the bulletin.
Communities marooned as Hurricane Melissa death toll still stands at 32. Fuel supply stabilizing, Western gas stations reopening. And later in sports, high-scoring T20 sees Windies triumph over New Zealand.
Now the details. Director General of the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, Commander Alvin Gale, says the number of deaths from the passage of Hurricane Melissa remains at 32. Speaking at a post-cabinet press briefing a short while ago, he says the agency is actively working to assist the families of those victims. Commander Gale also noted that several communities remain marooned.
Some 120,000 buildings in Western Jamaica have lost their roofs. This directly impacts some 90,000 families. We are acutely aware that many communities are still marooned, cut off by flooding and landslides. I can report that with the efforts of the Jamaica Defence Force, the National Works Agency, the Jamaica Fire Brigade, and others, we successfully re-established access to many of these communities. However, as of this morning, there is some indication that some 27 communities remain marooned, primarily in the difficult-to-reach areas of St. Elizabeth, St. James, and Trelawney.
Meanwhile, Minister of Energy, Telecommunication and Transport Dalva says the fuel supply network is stabilizing quickly. He adds that the most gas stations in the western parishes are now reopening.
For those areas that are still not getting the regular service from the petrol stations, on Monday we have 10 mobile fuel stations that will go out to specific areas guided to me by the JDF and ODPEM that will be able to set up and operate on generators and will also be able to sell kerosene, which is very, very important at this time. But I expect that based on the report, most petrol stations are reopening and have made arrangements to be able to supply, especially in the hardest hit areas.
More good news, Mr. Vass says key areas that were previously impassable due to Hurricane Melissa have now been cleared. He provided further details at the press conference.
Connecting Ocherius to Port Antonio, Morant Bay to Kingston, Mandeville to Black River, and through to Negril and through to Montego Bay. This progress has been vital in enabling supplies, relief items, essential workers to reach affected communities. However, some interior routes in St. Elizabeth and St. James and Westmoreland are still limited to single-lane traffic due to fallen trees and flooding. National Works Agency crews are prioritizing full two-lane clearance for key routes connecting rural communities to Montego Bay and Savla Mar. Telcos. Most of Jamaica's community and public Wi-Fi networks are offline, particularly in western parishes, affecting over 150 communities. To restore connectivity, the Universal Service Fund is deploying Starlink satellite solutions, starting with Betheltown, Westmoreland, and rolling 15 installations over the next week. Mobile units are also being deployed to provide Wi-Fi and charging stations in affected communities. Over the next 6 weeks, USF aims to deliver at least 90 community connectivity solutions in the affected areas, meaning people will be able to stay in their communities and communicate. Starting today, the JDF is airlifting Starlink units and generators into isolated communities.
It's heartbreak for residents in Belvedere, Westmoreland, where Hurricane Melissa left little standing, leaving behind splinters of what were once home. More in this report.
Warzone. That's how the quiet community of Belvedere in Westmoreland, along with its neighboring districts, now looks after Hurricane Melissa. Remnants of people's homes are now scattered across acres of land. Nothing built from zinc, ply, or board was spared, leaving scores of residents homeless. We found Albert Shaw, a resident of 30 years, sifting through the ruins of his home.
While the breeze a blow me lie down in my house and everything scatter. Man, me can't tell how me feel nervous bad.
With his house gone in an instant, Albert ran to the hills for refuge.
Up at the next house, up a concrete house up at top here, next door. But all me have up with you. See me pen on it up. For start me let him feed him.
Accustomed to the hardships of rural life, Mr. Shaw has already begun the slow process of rebuilding.
Me just put up this and then say me can't get anything for this build one could not house.
But Hurricane Melissa didn't just destroy homes, it also destroyed livelihoods.
So after the biggest bull.
How you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel I have to give thanks. God spare our life, That's what I have to say.
For Caroline and her 92-year-old mother, her daughter's unfinished house was the only safe haven.
If that house wasn't there, look at it, no neighbors, nowhere to run, and being in this place, we couldn't even run up the hill as fast enough for the storm to destroy us. Trust me, if we never have that house.
Man, they need head sick. Everything. Everything.
And then there's Joan Bowen, one of the residents who refused to leave her home, even though it was unfit to withstand the storm.
I never know some Melissa Alex heart. Me in the till me see first part 30, Bogle, second part, and Butterfly the third part, and me come out. See when we come out, one breeze take Katie, and came gone back out I have pen way. And the tremulous sun.
Thankfully, Melissa hit in daylight when Miss Bowen turned survival into a game of hopscotch, leaping from one house to another before making it safely to her daughter's unfinished home.
And then we run for down a Jan. And then we have to stay till 9 night. Because we can't push out.
Now residents are appealing to the relevant authorities for assistance.
I need some block and cement and steel.
Block, sand and stone. Cannot build back a board house.
Aliyah Bryant, TVJ News.
The Northern Caribbean University NCU has suffered significant damage. This following the devastating passage of Hurricane Melissa, which battered central and western Jamaica earlier this week. Classes were expected to resume at NCU on Tuesday, but President Dr. Lincoln Edwards has pushed it back to next Monday as cleanup and restoration work across the campus is still ongoing.
Classes will resume face-to-face, and we will also try to accommodate those other persons who can't be here face-to-face. So we will have to work as best we can with our students to ensure that their teaching and learning exercise continues. We understand that there are some students who simply are not in a position to really come on the campus and so forth. So we will work with them as individuals, but the process must continue. We sympathize with our students, we empathize, and those who have lost everything, we're working as best we can with those students to ensure that they have a place to stay and that the teaching and learning exercise can continue.
The university's main campus in Mandeville was hit hardest, with reports of extensive structural damage.
A number of areas were damaged. Certainly our press, University Press, lost a significant portion of its roof. And of course the materials that were stored there were damaged as well, machines. The university steps to Price, we lost that. That was a famous landmark on the campus that was destroyed. We have classrooms that were flooded, ceilings collapsed in classrooms and in laboratories, and significant water damage and loss of doors.
Despite the devastation, hope is alive at NCU. Staff, students, and volunteers have been working tirelessly to restore the campus.
The Western Regional Campus, located in Montego Bay, on the property of the West Jamaica Conference, has received significant damage. Certainly they were flooded. They have loss of fence were blown down, ceiling collapsed, just significant damage. Our Eastern Regional Campus in Kingston had some damage, but not as significant as on the other campuses. So, and of course, in our St. Anne's Bay campus, minor damage there as well.
Stakeholders and the Alumni Association have also stepped in, providing both financial support and manpower to aid in the recovery. And at least one early childhood institution in northern Clarendon will not be able to reopen anytime soon. The powerful hurricane tore through the roof of the Stacyville Early Childhood Development Center, which serves the community of Sandy River in Calitz, Clarendon. When we visited the location, we noticed books and learning materials were soaked and scattered across the compound.
I don't know. Because to how I look at it, I don't know if this institution will be open back for this year, because we have a lot of work on this institution to be done. So I don't know.
Thank you very much.
But we need a lot of help early. It is urgent, because if we don't get no help, we don't know.
Going to suffer.
Yes, the children are going to suffer, go to different institutions.
Which is not nearby.
Mayor of Maypen Joel Williams says the municipal corporation will intervene.
I will be making contact with Early Childhood Education Center as soon as I get back to office and report to them exactly what has happened here. I understand that the school is under their jurisdiction, and so we'd like to have it up and running as early or as quickly as possible. So we will reach out to everyone across the diaspora who have interest in education and want to support this institution rebuilding, to reach out to us at the Clarendon Municipal Corporation, myself as mayor or the CEO, and for us to see how quickly we can get them back into action.
In the wake of Hurricane Melissa, which has left Jamaica's western region unrecognizable and thousands homeless, we take a closer look at the storm's impact on our children. Alia Bryant has the details.
Speaking on Smile Jamaica this morning, psychotherapist, author and founder of Freedom Happy Counseling, Kadian James, explained that some children are naturally more sensitive and prone to anxiety.
In Jamaica, I know, for example, we'd say, what you have to stress about. But kids do experience stress. There's nature and there's nurture. I'm sure it's going to speak to a lot of disruptions in their lives. They can't go to school. They see their family stressed out. They witnessed all the devastation. So it wouldn't be surprising that a lot of Jamaican kids end up with PTSD as a consequence of living through this storm.
Ms. James says it's crucial to create safe spaces where children can express their emotions.
If they have questions about what they saw and witnessed in their own words, just allowing them to voice it, validating them, saying something like, I know it must be really, really hard, but just reminding them that we will get through this with love, we'll get through this. And kind of fostering the connections between, a child and the parents and the caregivers. They see that one of the things I've noticed is that Jamaicans, and it's not surprising, just are rallying around to help each other in love. I think we're modeling that, yes, it's hard, but we can do it together.
She emphasized the need for a supportive community after a natural disaster, highlighting how it helps children cope and feel safe.
Kids going through natural disasters are a little bit more vulnerable to mental health concerns than the average kid. And if they had other struggles before, whether it be because of poverty or abuse or, any other vulnerabilities, then those vulnerabilities are going to be exacerbated by the storm. I see this beautiful picture of a child being hugged. Hugging produces the hormone called oxytocin, which is a bonding hormone. That is so important, especially right now. So the community can be part of the hug campaign, right? Wherein you see a child in need, and if it feels safe for them, then they can give them a hug, and you don't know how much that hug can mean to another, right?
Yeah.
So just spread love and light in our communities for the neighbors' kids.
Aliyah Bryant, TVJ News.
It's time for a break. Stay with us, more stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. It's now time for the Business Minute.
The Ministry of Finance says the hurricane's hit to the economy is being worsened by a sharp drop in the Jamaican dollar, which fell to $161.90 yesterday. The ministry warns that for every 1% of the dollar falls, the national debt climbs by $14 billion and interest payments jump by $600 million. With over 60% of Jamaica's $2.3 trillion debt in U.S. currency, this leaves less money for essential services and much needed infrastructure. Further afield, the Federal Aviation Administration says it will cut about 10% of flights at 40 major airports starting Friday if the government shutdown continues. The decision comes because air traffic controllers have been reporting issues with fatigue. Some 1.4 million federal workers, from air traffic controllers to work wardens, are working without pay or are on forced leave because Congress has not agreed a federal funding budget. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Carrie Ann Simpson.
Thank you, Carrie. Now it's time for top regional and international stories.
In the region, the United Nations has launched a $74 million fund to help Cuba recover from Hurricane Melissa. About 2.2 million Cubans remain in urgent need of aid across the eastern provinces. The UN says its plan will focus on health, water, shelter, and education, with special attention to women and children. In Haiti, at least 43 people are dead and 16,000 displaced, while the World Food Programme needs $18 million to assist those affected. Meanwhile, Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney has pledged to support Jamaica and the region, activating a disaster relief hub in Kingston. And on the international scene, Asia's most powerful tropical storm this year, Typhoon Kalmaigi, has made landfall in Vietnam, bringing with it widespread destruction and danger. Kalmaigi has already claimed at least 114 lives in the Philippines, where it drowned entire towns and left thousands homeless. Vietnam is bracing for impact, with warnings of waves reaching up to 8 meters in some areas. 6 airports have been forced to close, calling Kalmaigi a very abnormal storm. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Aliyah Bryant.
Thank you, Aliyah. We take another break. Sports is next.